Now we've finished the centre part of the veggie patch, it's time to start building the bays, like I said before. We're going to put our first post in, and this is really the only post that has to be set correctly, because once this is in place, we're just going to effectively just keep building around off what we've already built. So to position this first post, we dug the hole in our mark out position. We've set the hole to depth. In this case, because we're working to a flat site, I've set the top of the post the same height as the underside of this mid trimmer. Now, if you were on a site that had fall in it, you could actually have this post follow the ground. The only thing you'd have to do differently is you wouldn't be able to pre-cut this bottom rafter and the top rafter. You'd have to cut them on site, depending on the slope of the ground. So if that came down at an angle, this wouldn't be a plumb cut, that'd have to have an angle on it. So it is probably a little bit easier to work to a level site, but it's certainly quite possible to have the outer part of the veggie patch following to a certain extent the undulations of the land. So what we've done is we've put this bottom rafter in. It's been screwed off, set at the right height. That positions this post then in and out. We've then plumbed the post so that we've got a 1/2 inch or 12mm gap off our string, and that's because this post is thinner than the inner post, and that will then position the post. Our next process is we're going to put the top rafter up on top of here. You can see I've clamped a block up in the centre part, and we'll batten screw this down into the top. And now once we have this frame, we can then just keep working around, going section and section and section, and that's what we're going to proceed to do. When it comes time to screw this rafter down onto the post, we want it so that these two pieces eventually are going to meet like that, and the outside corner of that post should line up. So we should be able to put that in a position that that's all going to work for us, and then screw it down. So that's the first divider screwed off. What we're going to do next, we're going to do the next divider, but we're not going to put the dirt around that post just yet, because we're going to use the members. Now that we've got this in a rigid position, we can use the other members to position that post. So I'm going to go and do that now, and then I'll show you that when it's finished. All right, so we're back on site today. Now, since we were here last time, we've progressively worked around, and we've completed bay by bay by bay, building off the previous structure. And so basically all those members, they're just creating the shape because they've all been pre-cut to size. Now when we come to the end, it's very unlikely that all the pieces are going to fit perfectly together. So what we need to do is, you've got your post in place, we'll screw these two top members together, and we're going to then check the length of the member that goes in here, that top rafter. Make sure that it's the right length. Now it's more than likely you might have to chop something off that. If it was too long, what it might mean is you might have to chop a little bit off one of these. Basically, we've just got to make this whole final section just come together. Once we've set the top piece, then we're going to go and do the same at the bottom piece. So whatever we take off the top piece, we'll take off the bottom piece. So I'm going to do that now, and then we've just got the walkway in to do, and then that's the structure complete. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from here, and because I don't have someone else to hold the tape, I've clamped a little bit of wood up here to hook the tape over. We measure from there to the long point, which is 29.27. Then grab that top rafter, hook over the long point, and come back and mark that 29.27. Then square that line round so we can chop that off with a circ saw. So I'll just cut that off. All right, so that member now should fit in place back across the top. You can see there that's going to fit in nice and snug. I've just got to move that block down to sit it on. Now whatever we took off that top member, we've then got to take off that bottom rafter too. Okay, so I'll do that and I'll screw both of them in. Now remember, if when you measured that, if it was longer than the piece you've got, then you've got to take a little bit off one of those outside trimmers, just so that you can bring it in and make it work to the rafter. Like I said, the chance of that last joint working perfectly is very slim, so you will have to adjust something. So I'll go ahead, I'll do all that. I'll be back to you in a tick. Okay, so now we're on to the last process in the putting the main frame together. We've put these two door posts in. I've screwed them in the right position at the top and plumbed them up in both directions. Now it's reasonably critical these are plumbed because we're going to hang the gate off this post in particular when we're finished. So it's pretty important that's plumb. If the other posts are a little bit out of plumb, it doesn't really matter because like the chooks won't care too much, and at the end of the day it is a veggie patch, not the Taj Mahal. So you know, but this one, it wants to be in plumb. So that means these last two pieces of timber we need to cut to length to make them work. I'm just looking for my pencil. Just grab it out of my pocket. Okay, so hold that piece in the right position and just mark it to length there. And the same with this one that's going to be the side of the path, we'll mark that there. I'll cut them to length, screw them into position. We'll do the same on the other side, and then that's the structure finished. So I'll get that done, I'll be back to you in a tick. All right, that's the last nail in. So that's all the structure together now. So I reckon if you have a look at that, that's a pretty sexy looking veggie patch. If you got this far, you should be pretty proud of yourself. We're going to run back to the factory now and make the gates up. There's a fixed gate that goes across here, and then there'll be the movable gate that goes on each bay of the veggie patch. So we'll clean up, head back to the workshop, make some gates, and I'll see you there.